Welcome back. Today we're going to work on getting the cases cleaned up and deprimed and ready to reload. So give me just a minute to get things rearranged here and we'll start. Alright, well, let's start depriming some cases. This is the Lee depriming die. This die just deprimes, does nothing else. No sizing. And I normally keep it in the press, but I thought I'd go ahead and go through the setup of it. And it's very simple. All you got to do is screw it in until it hits the ram. Tighten down the lock nut and it's done. One of the nice things about this die is the depriming rod is held in by a collet as opposed to being solid. So if you hit a case that's got a particularly difficult primer, such as one that's crimped in that normally would break a pin, it just pushes it out and it doesn't hurt it. Or if you've got Berdan primed cases, which you shouldn't have, but if you ever run across them, rather than breaking your depriming pin, it's just going to slide it out. You just loosen this up, push it back in, and you're good to go. Got a supply of spent cartridges here. And down here on the bottom is a tube to catch them. And you'll notice, even though I'm not priming, I do have a priming arm in here. And the reason for that is if the priming arm is not in, this wide open space right here just allows the spent primer to fall out on the floor. So that'll guide it down into the tray and let it fall into the tube. So let's do some depriming. Very simple, and that's it. You can see this is a lot easier than sizing and priming. And one of the really nice things about this, doing it this way as opposed to sizing while you're depriming, is if you have a loose primer pocket, you know, from an overused case or one that got hit with too high a pressure, you'll feel it and you'll know to just go ahead and throw that one out. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and quickly get through these and then we'll move on to the next step of cleaning the cases. So just sit back and relax, listen to the music while I quickly deprime cases. There, that was quick and easy. And now we're on to cleaning some cases. Now this is a small batch. I normally wouldn't clean this small of a batch. It's a little bit inefficient because it's a time-consuming, a little bit of a messy process. So I like to do a lot at once, but just for the purposes of this video, we'll go ahead and do the small lot. That's it for this part. Let me get everything rearranged and get out the necessary supplies for cleaning, and we'll go through that. Alright, so let's get some brass clean. This is my rotary tumbler. It's a Lyman Cyclone, and as you can see, it really is designed to do a lot bigger batch of brass than this, but for this one time we'll go ahead and do this small batch. It's pretty easy to use. Open it up, brass in, excuse the noise, stainless steel pins, 5 pounds, and dump in some water. But since I'm not lucky enough to have plumbing in my garage, I'm gonna go put some water in here and I'll be right back. Alright, so now I've got this about 3/4 full of water. Now there's some commercial cleaners you can buy out there to add into this, and they work fairly well, but I found on the internet this formula that I use. I put in about 1/4 teaspoon of Lemmy Shine, and you can get this pretty much anywhere. I got this off of Amazon. Walmart carries it. I think some grocery stores carry it. And then about a teaspoon of Dawn, just regular dishwashing detergent, and that's about all it takes. And seal it up. Now this has got a heavy rubber gasket on it. Make sure it's seated right and that it's clean. Otherwise you will have a mess on your hands. Tighten it up. Now you don't need to make it too tight, but you do need to tighten it up so it doesn't leak. Turn it upside down to double check. No leaks, so we're good. Gets a little heavy. There's a mechanical timer on the side of this. It goes from 0 to 3 hours. I typically do 3 hours. So there you go. It started up, and I'll see you back here in about 3 hours. Well, it's been 3 hours, so we're ready to get the brass out and finish processing it. The rest of this is going to have to take place on the floor because, like I said, I don't have plumbing in the garage. And since I don't want my wife to go to jail for murder, I separate and rinse everything out here in the garage and dump the water later. So give me a minute. Let me rearrange the camera, get out everything I need to get this taken care of, and I'll be right back. All right, so here's what I've got for separating the brass, getting it out of the container and doing the initial separation. This is the original separator that came with the Lyman tumbler, and it works great for getting rid of the bulk of the cleaning media, but it doesn't work so well for getting all of it out. So what I do, and you can see it's quite foamy in there, just dump it into this big container. Excuse the noise, and you can see how dirty it is. Now, one of the things that I think is a little bit of a negative about this cleaner is if you look, well, I don't know if you can see down inside there, there's some crevices that cleaning rods get stuck in. So what I have to wind up doing is rinsing it out to get all of them out. And I believe, yeah, it looks like that got them all out. So now I just give it a little bit of a shake, a little bit of a rinse, get some of the soap off of it. and that's pretty much ready to be completely separated now. This will have to be rinsed out completely in a little while. I'll be right back. For doing the complete separation, I've got, now let me move this a little bit. I've got this Lyman Turbo Media Separator. This thing works great. It's simply a little, kind of like a bingo cage, and you just put the brass in there and twirl it around, and it gets rid of everything. And on top of that, in addition to getting everything separated, excuse the noise again, it's also great for completely rinsing off the soap from the brass. Put a little water in there till it comes up and reaches the cage. And I think I told you this is kind of a messy process, you can see. Now, I do try to keep my hands out of this. One of the things that I didn't do while I was depriming that I usually do is wear my rubber gloves. Because there is a lot of lead involved, and as you all know, lead is easily absorbed by the human body and is not a good thing. I'm going to get this sealed completely. So I do normally wear rubber gloves because you know, you got lead in the bullets and you've got lead in the primers, and so that's all over the cases. So a little advice, I think it's good advice, is to go ahead and wear gloves while you're reloading, and it keeps your fingerprints off of the cases. Okay, this is going to get a little noisy, so I'm going to go ahead and shut up. That's actually a little bit too fast. Okay, so according to the manual for this separator, that is sufficient to completely separate it, and it actually is. It is should be completely separated, and sure looks like it is. There's a little look at how clean the brass comes out of this thing. I mean, it really does look like new brass. And you can see down in the bottom here, there's some of the stainless steel media just laying on the bottom, and you can see it does, using the other one does get most of it. I'll just pour this out here. And I'll do one more rinsing, and that should have all of the soap off. As you can see, this is a little inconvenient. I'm hoping to eventually get a sink out here, utility sink, so I don't have to do this kind of stuff anymore. All right. Do make sure that it's completely closed, otherwise you will have a mess on the floor. And there you have it, rinsed and clean brass. And as you can see, there is no more of the stainless steel in there. That first one did get it all out. And this will get dumped in the, believe it or not, I used the toilet to get rid of that. So let me go get something to lay the brass in, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have it. Oh, excuse the noise again. Some nice clean brass. Let me see if I can get one up here. See if this will focus. It'll focus pretty good. As you can see, that came out very, very clean. Cleaner than any of the vibratory cleaners I've ever used, which I used to use. And here's one of the things I really like about cleaning it this way. Take a look at that primer pocket. Now, I touched it with nothing, just what happened inside the rotary tumbler. And then take a look down inside. That's absolutely spotless inside and out. Let me get one of the nickel plated ones. I think you might be able to see that one a little bit better. Get a little bit better reflection. There's a primer pocket. And down inside. And you can see that is super clean. I used vibratory cleaners for quite a number of years, and they work okay. They'll get the grease and grime and grit off of the cases, but they just never really seemed very clean to me. And I figured, you know, I want my cases as clean as can be. Not only is it good for the cases, it's good for the dies as well. And also, quite frankly, I'm not real wild about the thought of breathing in the dust from the walnut shells or the corn cob or whatever you happen to use, especially if you put some of the polish on it. Can't be too good for you. That's my case prep method. Hope you got something out of that. Now let me get everything put together to get ready to start assembling some ammunition, and we'll go through setting up the press. As you can see, I kind of cheated and kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but we'll back up and get everything done from scratch. Anyway, that's it for this video. Next one, we'll build some ammunition.